All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching me across the states in Nigeria. Africa has a lot to deal with because this edition is a multifaceted discussion. My platform, Real Talk with Kike today, we travel into Ghana. It will delve into our relationship also from the angle of DNA and also to look at women and their status in the African societies as it concerns us in terms of our upbringing. Now you see, it's a bumper package for this edition for Real Talk with Kike, and as you can see, we are in the festive season. Yes, because my studio is decorated right now. And you know what? I've got a lot happening this season on all my platform, on TV and radio. So you've just got to stay glued to Real Talk with Kike platform because there are loads of giveaways which we'll be giving out in the next 2 weeks. So guys, again, I say welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, your chief host, your executive producer, your scriptwriter. I wear many caps on this platform, but my name remains Kike Atanda-Owo. I think it's important for us to hear what On This Day Industry segment asks for us. And when I return, I give my 2 cents and they stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. Ghana has elected John Mahama as its new president, making a significant political shift as voters opted for change amidst economic challenges. And Mahama, leader, or will I say leader of the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, secured about almost, will I say 57% of the votes on Saturday, Saturday's election, defeating Vice President Momodu, Bawumia, I hope I pronounced that properly, of the really new Patriotic Party, MPP, who accumulated 41%. And this election signals the end of the MPP's 8-year tenure, which faced critical, or will I say criticism for its handling of Ghana's worst economic crisis in decades, marked by an IMF bailout, debt default, and of course a spiraling cost of living crisis. On the live show today on Real Talk with Kike, my guest and I, we have a robust discussion, focusing on Ghana's recent presidential election, its broader implications within the African context, and of course our Real Talk will evolve around Ghana's political landscape in terms of the economic challenges. And my guest today will also, help us with the connection to Ghana in terms of exploring his relationship with the President-elect Mahama and his unique insights into country's political dynamics. I think it's important for us to play my guest profile. And when I return, we will be speaking with him. Please stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, welcome to the show, Chief Dele Momodu. It's a pleasure to have you on Real Talk with Kike. I know that you're a familiar guest on this platform. We do not take your presence for granted, but I must say congratulations to you on the victory of President John Mahama. I see your works, I see your support for him and your campaigns, your collaboration with the elected president thus far. Even when he visited the late father's tomb a few days ago in Accra. So I say congratulations to you, because this win is not just for the Ghanaians as well. It's also for you who have stood steadfast behind a man that, quite a number of people were just, wanted him back. Again, I say congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much, Madam Kike, as I call you.
All right. Many thanks. This is a family extension, but we must keep it professional right now.
Yes,
so,
please.
sir, let's just dive straight to the topic at hand, because recent elections in Africa indicate a growing trend where citizens are determined to change the incumbent, governors, or will I say reduce their influence in terms of the drive by demand for people for better governance now, so to speak. So I must ask you, what do you think, or what do you make of the recent, concluded elections in Ghana in terms of, do you think is a decisive one from the citizen in terms of the shift in the political consciousness, or do you just think that the citizens were just saying, what, we are dissatisfied with bad governance? What's your take thus far with this result?
Well, I think the recent Ghanaian election was a statement from the people of Ghana to their political leaders that whenever you misbehave or engage in any form of rascality, we have the power, we have the capacity to get rid of you. They were determined. Prior to the elections, there was apprehension. Everybody was saying, oh yes, the government of the day is going to rig. Oh, every day they are discovering new tricks towards that rigging. But when D-Day came, I mean, I've never seen that kind of determination. And don't forget that Ghana had gone through a revolution before, the Jerry Rawlings revolution. So they are not as squeamish as people in other parts of Africa. They were determined, they went there, voted, stayed behind. They did not allow the military or the police to bully them. But I must say on the whole that the military and the police in Ghana were largely very, very competent in dealing with any issues that arose during the elections. There were a few, of course, there were a few bad eggs, and the people pounced on them. So it was a clear message, and it was resounding, because never in the history of Ghana have we witnessed an election where a presidential candidate will record 50-something, or about 56-point-something %.
56.55%, I think.
Of the total coast.
Yes,
cast.
almost 57.
And the incumbent vice president had only about 41%. So it was a message to the ruling government that, look, no, we are dissatisfied with you and you must go. And you are not just going to go, we want to send you packing in a very, very massive way. And they achieved that. The Ghanaian people, for me, it was like they were not talking about parties now. Even those who were in the ruling party were already complaining about the government, that the government was not doing well. So they went all out and made sure that they got rid of them. And of course, President Mahama is the biggest beneficiary, because again, I don't know if anywhere in Africa we've seen an elected president go and come back after 8 years. I don't think so.
It's not the new Donald Trump in Africa,
Yes,
so
that's
to
what people
speak.
say, yes.
All right, but many thanks for that insight right there, because I know that you were on ground,
Yes.
But, let me touch on voters' turnouts now in terms that varied significantly across countries, because reflecting on the levels of trust in the electoral process and the government's performance, I must ask you, sir, how does that voters turnout, such as the almost 61% that Ghana had and 43% of Mozambique, in terms of the reflection of public trust now is what I'm bringing to for public trust and engagement in the democratic process.
For Ghanaians, politics is like religion. From the moment you are born, you either belong to MPP or you belong to NDC. So it's not like our own where you cross carpet. And they also allow independent candidacy. So there were a few independent candidates who won parliamentary elections in Ghana on this occasion. So for them, the turnout was even low because a lot of members of the ruling party were tired of their own party. So rather than vote for opposition, they chose not to vote. That's why the turnout was even that. Otherwise, you could have up to 70-something% in Ghana.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. Apologies for that disruption right there. But sir, with all that you've been sharing thus far, I think one of the takeaways from your submission earlier is the fact that Ghanaians understand from the get-go that politics defined their lifestyle, who they are as a person. So that alone, and the fact that there's ideology guiding them over there, like you said earlier, there's no cross-carpeting of different parties. Within 4 years, you could see an individual who have cross-carpeted to about 4 different parties. So I like the fact that their ideologies actually guide individuals and personality in terms of what their vision should be. But moving away from that, I must touch on the fact that Ghanaians' electoral process, in terms of what that has demonstrated strong organization and transparency compared to Nigerians, where violence now is what I'm touching on, and technical failures, are more common. We have to keep it real on this platform. What lessons can Nigerians and other African nations, learn from Ghanaians' electoral management to improve transparency and reduce, electoral violence? For instance, let me quickly cite an example. I like the fact that you were saying earlier that, Ghanaians were determined, and the fact that the military and the police actually managed most of the challenges over there. But we must touch on the fact that the vice president, Bawumia, I'm struggling to pronounce his name. I've said that he was accepting defeat even before the official announcement of the results. So to avoid further tension or violence or preserve, maybe peace is the word that I'm struggling to remember, that peace for the country, this demonstrated strong organization and transparency compared to Nigeria that we all know, where I feel violence and technical flaws have been a culture in our tradition. What lessons, again, I must emphasize, do you think Nigerians and other African nations can learn from Ghana's electoral management to improve that transparency and reduce electoral violence?
You already mentioned one, the love for peace. But above that is the love for patriotism.
Okay.
An average Ghanaian is very patriotic. He believes that whatever happens, when tomorrow comes, there will still be Ghana. And for us to have a peaceful Ghana, we must all be patriotic. We must be less selfish. Of course, there were a few skirmishes here and there. A few people lost their lives too in Ghana. It wasn't as if it was all perfect. But they were determined that they were not going to allow politics to destroy their country. In Nigeria, I'm not sure we have leaders who are that patriotic. For us, it's a matter of life and death. Because, and Nigeria, politics is not just a meal ticket. A man can turn into a woman overnight because of politics. A certified pauper can become a certificated billionaire just in one day in Nigeria. So the stakes are much higher here. And don't forget that we have 36 states plus the Federal Capital Territory. We have, a huge population of over 200 million people. So they are more difficult to manage. But the day Nigerians in every constituency is determined to stand firm like Ghanaians did by ensuring that they defend their votes. Ghanaians refused to go home to sleep. In fact, just a few minutes to midnight on the day of the election, the principal actors, like President Mahama, already knew the result because they are strong room and nothing changed throughout. He called me a few minutes to 12 midnight to say, look, you guys, you can go and sleep. It is done. I started arguing with him. I said, sir, Oga, please don't sleep, sir. They might change this thing before morning. And he was laughing. Why? Because where I come from, it can happen. I'm not trying to badmouth my country.
No, but that's the reality of our...
We've seen it too many times. Yeah. A woman whose daughter has been killed by a witch would always be afraid of every woman. So that was the situation. But he assured me that nothing is going to change. He told me in advance that he was going to have 56.something%. He got 56%. He said they're going to have nearly 190, members of parliament. I couldn't believe it. That's what happened. Everything was that great. Even when people were trying to stuff ballot boxes, to snatch ballot boxes, they stood firm. They had their results. They had their pink sheets. There was nobody manipulating the machine and saying, the machine did not work. It did not happen in Ghana. And that is commendable. We can do it here.
Absolutely.
Nigerians, we are not synonymous with witchcraft, so I don't see why we cannot do it.
All right, many thanks for bringing the humor to the table right now. But you know what, sir? In Ghana, obviously, political stability is supported by politicians, especially when it comes to loyalty to their parties, unlike Nigeria, because that's one of my takeaway from your conversation right now in terms of switching different parties and all of that. How critical now is political party in terms of the loyalty in maintaining democratic stability? Because in however we want to debate this, there must be a situation where Nigeria can learn from this Ghana's political system in this regard. Because no matter how much we look at it again, let me bring into fold the economic challenges, because economic challenges now such as unemployment, inflation, corruption have played a decisive role in Botswana, in South Africa, and Ghana in recent elections. So now the new leader, such as the Ghanaian's President Mahama, faced immense pressure to deliver rapid economic and social reforms amidst his high public expectations. Sir, for a man like you who is close to Ghanaian power, for lack of a better word right now, what steps should the newly elected leader now take to manage public expectations and, of course, balance immediate reforms and sustain and bring into full sustainable governance?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that Ghana today has one of the most experienced and exposed leaders on the continent of Africa, President John Dramani Mahama. He is so vast, and I was privileged to have traveled extensively with him before and after he lost power. To Harvard, to everywhere. He's a man who comes from that background of advocacy. So he understands the expectations of the people. And as a communicator, he knows how to tell them the truth. I will tell you, for example, electricity. Electricity is a major factor in any country. And before he lost the 2016 election, Ghana had what they call doomsaw, where electricity was going off, sporadically. And he came on here to address the people. Like here, where we don't talk to our people, he came and he appealed to them. He said, I know I'm a dead goat. That's how he described himself. He said, I know I'm a dead goat and I will pay dearly for this. He said, but I want to crave your indulgence that in the next 2 years, you will have electricity. In fact, you will have excess electricity and will be able to sell to neighboring countries. You will not believe it. At exactly 18 months, it was able to inject 824 megawatts into their national grid. It was able to sort out the issue of their transmission, which in Nigeria continues to plague Nigeria. And they had excess electricity. At a stage, he even offered to help Nigeria. And I was part of it, and but unfortunately, bureaucracy, when people talk about lack of electricity in Nigeria, the biggest thing you must tackle is bureaucracy. There is too much bureaucracy. So in Ghana, he understands that the people are impatient and they've set deadlines for him. In the next 120 days, if he does not, after taking power, If he does not do A, B, C, D as promised, trust me, he will face a major backlash. And he knows it. Ghanaians don't tolerate such rascality. And he has only 4 years to build his enduring legacy. Fortunately for him, he already had a solid foundation from his previous tenure in housing, in infrastructure, in electricity, in education. He is ready. He has that foundation, he has the template that he will now build upon.
Many thanks again for that insight, sir. But before I ask you my next question, I think it's important for us to watch this quick video for a few minutes, like a minute plus, where my guest today got emotional regarding when President Mahama gave his first speech. Let's watch this. I'll be right back.
Who is he to you? Would you like to say a few words about him in front of this audience? Just for the record.
Indeed, I would have refused to leave this stage without saying something about Dele Momodu. Dele is a special friend to me. Indeed, I call him a brother, a younger brother. I'm 1 year older than him. And if I should say something about Dele, Dele is a loyal friend. If you are his friend, he will never ever let you down. I had known him at a distance. When he came into exile in Ghana, he tried to set up some businesses. He set up a restaurant. I don't know what happened to his restaurant. I never ate there anyway because he didn't invite me. But I knew he had a restaurant in West Airport. And then he was running his magazine and doing several other things. And so I used to meet him at functions and other places, but we never really became close. It was, I think when President Buhari visited Ghana, you know, I wanted to invite some of the Nigerian community to meet the president. So I invited Dele to come and join us to receive the president at the airport. And so he came and we met the president. And then after that,
All right, many thanks for staying with us. So, sir, watching that, I agree with him regarding how loyal you are, and that's what is missing in a world that we live in today. It's not because I'm seeing you. I've been somebody who have benefited from your loyalty, even in the birth of this platform, Real Talk with Kike, and also to the extension of my own front. When you believe in somebody, your word is your bond, you know, which I can tell you that quite a number of people share in terms of, you know, your what's it called, integrity or dignity thus far, and I must say kudos to you. And that's exactly what we represent in terms of what will what would history remember you for, and that's exactly what is being played out right now in front of you. But you know what, tweaking that to recent times, especially when it comes to when Mahama lost, when he first lost power, you know, it was a challenging time for him personally and politically, as if he faced a lot of significant criticism, downtimes that reportedly, would I say, even pushed him close to depression. For lack of a better word, now I'm using that word. You are someone that we all know who stands up for people, whose loyalty, you know, is as strong as is very firm. You stood by him during those difficult moments. I would like you to share what it was like for him during those testing period or trying moments, how his resilience and determination, you know, ultimately helped him to navigate the challenges that he faced that has brought him to where he is today.
I think I was privileged. It was such a privilege to know such a great African leader. They are not common. There is a very, very important Nigerian who says all the time that he doubts if they manufacture people like Mahama again in heaven. He lost that election after doing so much for Ghana. He loves his country so passionately. And so you can feel a sense of disappointment. Before the announcement of the result, I was in panic mode and I was in an hotel And I was calling him after he said, Dele, switch off your television. You're under pressure because you are watching too much television. Don't worry. Then later, he told me, he said, I have called Nana. It was a combination of relief and disappointment. So we've lost this election just like that. Now, I had to go to his house. And when I got there, and he had promised that he would come to Nigeria for the Ovation Carol in 2016. So I was already planning it, and this was about a week to go. So I went to his house. I said, okay, sorry about what happened. He said, it's okay, that it will be fine. Then I said, sir, and I didn't want it to sound like I was running away to Nigeria because he lost. I said, sir, the Ovation Carol we discussed, I want to go to Nigeria so I can prepare for it. Then he looked at me. He said, Dele, you think I won't come because I lost election? He said, I will come. And he came. And that for him provided the comfort, the consolation that he needed. Because when he got to Nigeria, we celebrated him. You know, Nigerians, we know how to celebrate people. We celebrated him big time that night. We brought in King Sunny Ade, Chief Oshoba, and all of them, and he was happy. Then we made sure he visited his friends. And don't forget that he had also lived in Nigeria before when his father was in exile. So he has a half-sister who is from Ofa. He's a chief in Ofa. So he went around, and then I asked him thereafter, so what are you going to do after handing over power? So one day he called me, and a friend of ours, he said we should follow him to somewhere around Akusombo Dam. He had a farm land there. And he said, oh, I'll go into farming. I said, go into farming? You are too young to go into farming. Why don't you do this thing again? He said, it's going to be tough.
There's money in agriculture.
Yeah, there is, but Africa needs more of his services, not just Ghana. So, and somewhere along the line, he started thinking about it, so we started going. But the most important thing was that he kept himself busy after he lost power. A lot of people, once they lose power, they give up completely. He kept busy. We went to South Africa to address students and lecturers at the University of Johannesburg. We went to Harvard University. We went to University of Chicago. We went to Chicago State University. We went to Oxford. In the last 8 years, even the president of Ghana has not been as busy as Mahama. To the extent that every time people ask me, who is contesting against him, people didn't even know that he was the incumbent vice president until recently. So that's to tell you that he is a man of vision, is a man of courage, and is a man of reason. Extremely sensible person, and that is why Ghanaians were able to miss him within 8 years. Because you can see that, you can feel that sense of nostalgia, that, oh my God, so we lost this guy. No, he must come back. And he came back with a vengeance.
Oh, fantastic. And I love the fact that he has great support system like you who can guide him in terms of him continually impacting the society at large. I would say kudos to him with that. Let me use this opportunity to quickly open the phone lines. Remember that you can be part of this conversation if you are just tuning in by calling the studio number 0700-6865-3440. And of course, you know, the conversation has been about the election in Ghana, the victory of John Mahama, and my guest and I have been having real talk about the political setbacks and the inspiring comeback that has captured the global attention. And on the next segment of the show, unfortunately, I cannot go on a quick break because I'm trying to manage time right now. I will touch on the role with my guest in terms of, we've touched on loyalty, but I'll further emphasize on that. And of course, how figures like him might influence the administration from behind the scenes, that I feel that we must actually always pay attention or be strategic about the kind of people we bring around us when it comes to impacting the society at large. And of course, I will wrap up with drawing some panelists in or parallels rather, you know, regarding Nigerians, about our leadership in terms of rotational presidency and what truly defines the right candidate for the nation at large. Again, I must say many thanks, sir, with all your submission thus far, and of course for continually honoring us anytime we bell on you. Again, the number to call is 07006 0806534440. This number is new. We just started airing it today, and we're streaming live on Facebook right now, both on Real Talk with Kike platform and on Silverbird platform. So please call in, and you never know what you will be having in terms of some of the giveaways that we have this Christmas. So, sir, trying to manage time now before they start running commentary in my ears, this election is undoubtedly a significant victory for you, sir, because being a close friend and a supporter of the elected president and someone who has considered Ghana a second home. We know your history regarding when you went on exile and all of that. Don't let me bring all of that back. But how do you think that this personal and strategic connection has influenced your role in shaping or will influence now? Because moving forward now, the Ghanaians are looking for impactful administration. Someone like you should be able to hold him into accountability when it comes to advising him on certain issues. Do you see yourself playing any role in this administration?
Well, I will not play any direct role. I'm not a Ghanaian, and I will not be a meddlesome interloper. But even when he lost power, I've always advised, even today, people will send me messages. Oh, something is going wrong here. Oh, electricity is about to collapse here. Oh, we're not going to have gas because of the West African gas pipeline. And because people know I have a direct access to him, so they send me those messages and I will just forward to him. Sometimes he will respond, sometimes he won't. It depends on how busy. But he notes everything down. He's a man who doesn't forget. He notes them down. And when we have the chance to discuss it, we will talk about it. 2 days ago, I was in a meeting with him in his house. Yesterday, I was supposed to leave Ghana yesterday morning. He said, no, we should have another meeting. We had a meeting, where we decided on the things I wanted to do. I wanted to go to Nigeria. So he's a good listener. He's a very, very good listener. And he's a fast learner. If you teach him anything and say, oh, this is what is going on in this part of the world, he will understand immediately. And he engages young people. He's surrounded by a lot of young people. That's why his message resonated with the people, because he surrounded himself with the best. And that's what I expect that he will do in government. All
right, many thanks for that. Favor, apologies, I have to keep you waiting. I needed our guest to land on his own submission. What's your contribution on our platform today? Where are you calling from, please?
I'm with you. Good afternoon.
Excellent. For calling.
Good afternoon, Dr. Dele.
Good afternoon, ma. How are you?
Yes, you make me to tear right now.
Oh.
A true definition of a true man.
Thank you.
I can't explain how I feel whenever I see you on a screen.
Wow.
You make me enjoy my work in Radio Nigeria years back.
Wow.
I've not changed one bit. The man you're talking about, I'm equally aware of him. I wish our Nigerian leaders will be watching this about now and make a great change because of tomorrow. Leadership starts from the grassroots. A leader must be sensitive to people's feelings. I can't explain how I feel for this man's winning. I'm telling you the honest truth. And Uncle Dele, I pray that God will keep you alive to hold an office in this country and teach people what it takes to be sensitive to people's feelings.
Amen.
Thank you. And with your
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You
I
make
appreciate
me see through life.
Amen.
Thank you.
I appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
All right,
you so
many
much.
thanks, Favor, for your contribution on the topic at hand. And I think the good news right now is that you've won yourself a carton of Dano milk and, of course, a carton of Kellogg's as well. I hope you reside in Lagos so that we can, send it to you if you're residing in Lagos. All right, Father. So please share your contact right now. And sir, let me move to another question that comes to mind when it comes to Ghana's economy in terms of what they have faced thus far in the significant challenges in recent times, to be precise, because with the CD depreciating, is it CD they call it? Or,
CD.
Yes, CD, sharply, and of course, in terms of inflation that is rising, which is a global challenge anyways. But given that the elected president was part of the previous administration, and I must ask you, how should the people of Ghana manage their expectations. Now, the reason why I'm saying they should manage their expectations is because I'm trying to find a balance with Nigeria when it comes to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you know, considering the, would I say, parallels to Nigeria, where President Tinubu's political history played a similar role in his presidency about hope. You know, with all that I've seen thus far, what's your advice in terms of how you think that people should, how someone who supported the winner is being, what's the word now? Let me hold my breath. What's your submission thus far regarding this on how the Ghanaians should manage their expectations so that you'll be able to deliver?
Yeah, they should know that what has been destroyed in the last 8 years is not going to be rebuilt in 2 weeks. But Mahama is very determined, and his first priority and strategy is what he calls a 24-hour economy. So Ghanaians would operate 24 hours, just like you find in a lot of developed nations. So people will do shifts. Maybe you do 8 hours, and other people said will do 8 hours, because unemployment is the most critical issue. When you talk about economy, when you talk about hunger, when you talk about poverty, everything stems from the economy. The economy cannot improve if there are no jobs. So how do you create jobs? Before he left, he upgraded their polytechnics to, you know, graduate, you know, institutions where you can go get your BSc in carpentry, BSc in... So that way you are creating activities. There is a buzz, you know, and with the 24-hour economy, that will even make it more robust. So that is there. Then in terms of infrastructure, like I said, a lot of things he did and he left behind. The incoming government abandoned them. So if you are talking about the housing policy now, he has hundreds of houses that he already built. So I don't know what state they will be now, maybe state of disrepair, or they are still okay because, I mean, the quality of work was good. So he will be able to do that. In the area of education, he built what they called e-blocks. They were very sophisticated e-blocks so that people can learn in a conducive atmosphere. I don't know why the government that came did not take advantage of some of these things that he had done. So he already has that template to work with, and I'm sure he will be able to re-energize Ghanaians.
All right, many thanks for that insight right there. I think one of the privilege of having you on this platform right now is to bring to fore some of the challenges that we go through. I understand that we have another caller on the line. Quickly, maybe Margaret might be the last caller today, so that I can get a lot of, we can all get a lot of, you know, value from our guests today. Margaret, quickly, many thanks for calling. Apologies, I have to keep you waiting. What's your contribution on the topic at hand today?
For me, let me just say thank you to Mr. Dele for being online, like giving us the words of, in fact, it's just talking about in general, and congratulations to the new president of Ghana. It is something to see that someone who knows Nigeria, who is calling from the grassroots, like who knows about us. You know, Nigerians, they'll be like, oh, we're having issues with Ghana, all this, our online social banter and all that. But it's something to see somebody who speaks good about the country, Nigeria. It's a blessing to us entirely. So I just want to say a very big congratulations to him and to our government. We know they are trying. We know the backlash. A lot is just happening. But I just feel like they need to put more effort in the country as a whole. It's not easy to rule people, but just have to put things in place because we are going through a lot.
Many thanks, Margaret. Many thanks, Margaret.
Thank you so much.
You've won yourself 20,000 naira. Please, cut our sponsors, Moyo Ogunlewe. Please DM me on my social media page for all your information, and I will definitely get back to you quickly, sir, because we are running out of time, and this will be my last question to you. You know, and turning to Nigeria now, because the debate over ethnicity, rotational presidency remains, you know, a contentious issue right here in this country. Do you think that the focus should shift towards finding the right candidate for the country rather than this clinch to geopolitical rotations or rotational leadership that is essential for national unity? Sir, in 2 minutes, what's your take on this?
Well, I have always been a completely detribalized Nigerian. I do not care where you come from. Performance, delivery, that's all. If you are able to deliver, you have my vote. If you are able to perform, I become your supporter and admirer. I've been in opposition since 1982 when I first joined politics. And that's about 40-something years ago. I've been in opposition. I've never been in government. And I follow people based on my analysis of your policies, your personality, your ideology, your philosophy. And so until 2 years ago when I joined PDP, because I needed a mainstream political party, I realized that the fringe political parties cannot win presidential election, not even in America. No independent candidate has ever won in America. So for me, all this ethnicity, people say, we should allow Tinubu to do 8 years. Is it popcorn that we're dashing people in a cinema? If he performs, why not? If the people feel he has not performed, so then why are we going to waste money on election? If it is automatic that a man must do 8 years, then why are you doing election? Don't do election. Let's turn it to monarchy.
Exactly.
So you know that from father you can go to son, you can go to brother, you can go to what. For as long as we practice democracy, we should be able to practice it properly. So that if a government is not performing, that's why we do it every 4 years. It's an examination. Election is an examination. It's not a joke. So after every 4 years, we should be able to change our leaders if we feel they have not delivered.
All right, many thanks again. I wish I could ask you about this ovation carol, but I know that we're running out of time. But again, I want to say thank you so much for all that you've shared thus far. But before we let you go, there's a last segment of the show that we call Trending Stories. These are stories that binds us as Nigerians, as Africa. This is where I have an opinion as a host, you know. And the first trending story that caught my attention is that of the Emir of Sanusi Lamido, you know, put it out there that if a man slaps the female should slap back, you know. And I just want to say that in no shape or form am I, you know, supporting violence. But today I want to address this topic that have sparked a lot of significant conversation in terms of the statement by Mayor of Sanusi II about advising the daughters now, yes, to slap back if their husbands ever lay hands on them. And let me make it clear again. I don't want anybody to bail me after this show. I share the Emir's sentiment. That's the honest truth. But this is not a call for violence. I can see that Dele Momodu is shaking his head. Yes, I have my opinion right now to put out there, so I will allow you, sir. I share in his sentiment because rather I feel that it's a call for women to stand up for themselves and refuse to be reduced to lesser beings in the name of culture or tradition. Let's be honest with ourselves. Our society has done a lot of tremendous damage to women, especially in this side of town, especially in Africa, would I say in Nigeria, and I feel that women are often raised in an environment where they are taught, you know, to be silent, to be submissive, and to be sober, even when faced with abuse. Meanwhile, men who grew up in homes of violence carry that toxic baggage into their relationships or marriages, unleashing it on sober women. So this circle of abuse must stop, and it begins with women learning to say, enough is enough. Now, to be clear, I'm not inciting violence or advocating for domestic wars. There must be a caution and caveat. Every situation is different. Before this issue came to mind, I feel that we should just pause to ask ourselves, what happened that led to the slap in the first place? Why no one deserved to be hit, Egbomi? I mean, Chief Dele Momodu. I feel that it's important to address the root causes of this situation to avoid, you know, raising generation of people who resort to violence and as their first response. We must raise a society that truly values gender equality. That's where I'm driving my conversation to. Both male and female are equal, and women deserve respect and dignity just as men do. However, as women, we must learn to stand up for ourselves and tip violence in the bud. Don't wait until it's too late, until your life or sanity is at risk. So to the parents and community now is where I'm even driving my message to, because I say this, the way we raise our children matters. Boys must be taught to cherish and respect, the female gender, sir, to see women as their partners, as not as their possession. And girls must be taught that their worth, is more important. And I feel that I must drive this message to men, that whatever thing you deposit into women is exactly what you will get back emotionally or psychologically. Women are strong, that women are often the stronger gender in this aspect. So what you give to a woman is what you will get back in multiple. So, however, I just feel that being strong doesn't mean that we must tolerate abuse. Women must understand that standing up for themselves is not a rebel, but it's a survival mode. It's raised a generation that understand that violence, whether physical or emotional or psychological, has no place in any relationship or marriage. It's not just about women's issue. It's a societal problem, however we look at it. So it's time for us to break that circle, build a society where every human being, a man and woman, can live with dignity without fear. Chief Dele Momodu, what's your submission on this? That's my...
Well, there should be no reason for a man to slap a woman. And there should be no condition that would warrant a wife slapping her husband.
Absolutely.
But if it happens that a man has slapped you, please don't retaliate. You are our mother. I always tell people that every woman is our mother, no matter how young, no matter how old. And as a mother, I don't think if your child, let's say, is playing with you and slaps you, what you want to do is to slap you. So your baby, how you carry your baby is what will determine how he will also carry you. So please, I'm begging you, no matter the provocation, no woman, if you are listening to me out there, no woman should ever slap a man. You are talking about submissiveness. There's nothing wrong with being submissive to a husband. There's nothing wrong with it. You see, don't forget that some of us, someone like me now, I grew up in Ilefe with an unlettered mother, and we're a bit conservative. I got to Lagos at the age of 28. So I was too old to become a Lagos boy. So I like it if my wife is gentle with me. And that's my appeal to all the women out there.
All right, you've heard it from me. Women must be gentle regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves. But quickly, let me touch on the second trending story. Hopefully, they will allow me to give my submission on this. It's about the DNA test that should be abolished in Igbo land, where every child in marriage belongs to the woman's husband. This is what Ebonyi Monarch's son said. And this statement by Nelson, I think Igboko or something, Igboko, I think I'm correct, suggesting that DNA tests should be abolished in Igbo land because Igbo culture considers every child born in marriage as belonging to the husband, which raises important question about our culture, again, our transparency and the evolving realities of modern relationships today. First, it's important to recognize that in courts and by societal norms, there is no bastards. Or there are no bastards. Marriage often creates blended families where children from previous relationships are embraced as part of the union. In this context, I feel that the cultural idea of ownership and acceptance of children born within a marriage is understandable. However, abolishing DNA, DNA testing entirely overlooks some critical issues in today's society. With the idea of abolishing DNA tests may seem rooted in preserving societal norms when you look at the failures or when they fail to address the very real challenges of transparency and trust. Let's face it, guys. There have been instances of manipulation and deceit, often leading to paternity fraud. These cases have caused significant emotional distress and even depression for men who later discover that they are not the biological fathers of the children that they have once loved or raised. So the truth is, when there are doubts, whether due to infidelity or lack of transparency or unresolved conflict in marriage, DNA testing can provide answers that allow all parties to move forward with honesty. But that being said, the issue highlighted highlighted is a deeper societal challenges when it comes to the historical issues of women in some cultures, including the Igbo traditions, who have placed a role of lesser power or often silenced or subjected to whims of societal expectation. However, as the Igbo people and Nigerians at large are becoming more civil and exposed to modern reality, they are beginning to see the flaws and the backwardness of some of these traditional practices. So it's important that we hold on to the values that promote unity in terms of our family cohesion while letting go of those undermine fairness and equality. So I don't know if I can just give my nurture, but unfortunately I'm being told that that's it, you know. I wish I can get your submission, but many thanks for all that you've shared thus far, sir, with the insight on Ghana, and of course for lending your voice on issues that affect us. So we wish you the very best as we continue to navigate life, and of course your work as well. We are people that, you know, hold you in high esteem. Again, I say many thanks, Chief Dele Momodu, for gracing the platform again today. And my name remains Kike Atanda-Owo. Bye now.